and I were going out to a bar. I was driving the car, and I saw these headlights come toward me. And when the headlights were coming toward me, that's all I remember for 3 months. What happened was the car hit us head on. I hit the windshield and I was thrown from the car. I did not have a pulse. I did not have a heartbeat. And they pronounced me dead on arrival. They put me in the body bag and zipped me up and took me to the hospital. I got to the hospital, and when the doctors were going to examine me to take me to the morgue, they saw that there was some physical movement and I was coming alive. And they examined me, and with the injuries, they said I would never survive through the night. I had crushed my right leg and did spinal injury, and I had my face here was split open, and my nose was lying in my ear. And my family were called in to help identify me, and I had gone into a coma. I remember being way up high, lying on a white, soft, fluffy pillow. And I could see angels all around me. And they were very beautiful, white, with wings. And they were locked with their wings around my bed, dancing and rejoicing. In a 3-month span, I lied there very peacefully. And when I came awake, I remember lying in the hospital bed, and I could hear some voices around me. I could not see at that moment, but I could hear 3, which were doctors, standing around my bed, and they told me what had happened. They explained all the medical terms, and they explained what had happened and all the surgeries that had taken place. And then they told me that I had such a blow to my head and to my eyes that I would probably never see again. And then with the spinal injury to my leg, they did not think that the surgery to the leg was very successful, so they had already said I would be paralyzed. And as they finished telling me what had happened, when they left the room, all of a sudden a big bright burst of light filled my bedroom. And there stood Jesus. I never knew him. And there he appeared at the foot of my bed, and he held out his arms and told me how much he loved me. And he told me I was his child and I was going to be okay. And it was like a peace that just came over me from my head to my toes. I had just a peace which I had never had in my life before. I had always searched for a peace, and for once this was the first time I had ever experienced a peace in my life. And as the time went on, they went ahead and let me go home, and they released me to go home on my own. And the doctors weren't very encouraging about me walking. And one night I was lying in my bed, and I had my daughter sitting beside me, and we were chatting. And at the foot of the bed, there was this big burst of light again that filled the bedroom, and at the foot of my bed stood Jesus again. He looked the same, identical just before. Again, he held out his arms and told me how much he loved me. And about that time, my leg lifted in the air, and I could see these 2 little hands with wings lift my leg in the air. And as my leg was in the air, he looked at me and said, "Only if you believe in me." And I knew without a shadow of a doubt I was going to walk again. I knew that that was Jesus. I knew I had seen him. I had no doubt. I had no question that it was Jesus. And I had a peace that I knew I was going to walk. I had that faith. I knew I was going to walk because I had seen him. And my leg went back down. I couldn't wiggle my toes. I was paralyzed. I couldn't do anything. But I knew without a shadow of a doubt I was going to walk. And as time went on, I experienced challenges, but I had a peace, and I had lots of questions. Why me? Why did this happen to me? Why did this Jesus appear to me? And who is this Jesus? So I started searching, and the Lord placed a pastor in my path that helped me learn who he was. And I started reading the Bible and reading the Word, and it started becoming alive to me in my life. And before I knew it, I had this battle going on in my heart, and I realized that it was time for me to give my heart to Jesus. And I gave my life completely over to him. Never looked back. From that day on, everything changed completely, 100%. And within 1 year, I went from a walker to 2 crutches to 1 crutch to a cane. 3 years later, I became very ill again. And during that time, I ended up having a stroke. And they had taken me to the hospital. And there they found that I had a brain aneurysm. And the doctors didn't give me any hope. They said they really didn't know what to do, that they were going to take me to a hospital, which was one of the best in the country, to find out what to do. And that Friday morning, as the sun was coming up, a big burst of light filled my room again. And there stood Jesus at the foot of my bed again. And he looked the same, identical, as he lifted his arms and told me he loved me. He reached down and he touched my head. I knew he had healed me. And all the pain left. And as he left, I knew I had been healed once again. And the doctors came in, and at that time, they didn't really want to believe me when I told them that Jesus had came and healed me. So the next day, they took me to the other hospital, and they kept taking x-rays, and they ended up taking 52 x-rays, not a trace of a brain aneurysm. They showed where they had the x-ray with it, and they showed where it wasn't there. Again, Jesus healed me, and I give him all the praise and glory. I don't feel like I'm any special from anyone sitting out there. I feel like I'm just the same. I don't know, only Jesus will know how he appeared to me. I always remember, I'll never forget what he looks like. He looks the same. He's always in my mind. I can always see him. He's never changed.